I mean, humans are humans, right? I mean, you know, if you play telephone, it's hard to get the same answer when you got 5 people on the line. In my 35 years, you know, going into companies, that's what we did. We provided quantitative information because they were all doing something just subjectively. And to me, that's what coin grading needs.
One of the most difficult things for both coin dealers and coin collectors is grading coins. It's not easy to learn how to do it. It takes a while, and getting coins graded professionally is just downright expensive. And oftentimes when you get something graded by a professional grading service, you'll notice sometimes the standards are a little bit inconsistent with what you actually see coming out of them. I know I've talked up the grading services in the past, and I'm still a big fan of coin grading services, but I can't deny there are problems in the industry when it comes to consistency with coin grading. Well, I talked to somebody at the Fun Show, and I had the opportunity to sit down and interview somebody who's actually trying to address those issues head on. Somebody who, as we'll soon find out, has faced that himself and took that motivation from not being able to get a really good answer on the condition of his coin and turned it into a machine that's using AI to actually grade coins. So we actually just kind of jump into talking. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what this is before we get started so you'll be a little bit caught up. First of all, this is not an endorsement of the product in the video. This is strictly me talking out of pure fascination of what he's doing. There's a man named Rick Colonna who has, as we'll find out soon, a background in just what's needed to build something like this on the technology side. He developed a machine called the OCS200, and basically this machine is meant to grade coins in the privacy of your home or in the privacy of your shop. If you have a coin shop, it's meant to provide a more consistent and objective position and a perspective of what the coin's grade is based on machine learning and analysis of actual data points. And he's going to describe exactly what all those are. And one last thing, this is a long interview. I've broken it up into specific question topics and some topics of interest. And at the end of it, I have my analysis. So if you do want to kind of skip around a little bit, it's understandable. It is a long video. But at the end of it, it'll have more information of my analysis of the machine, as well as if you wanted to buy it, what you need to do. Okay, enough about that. Let's get into the interview. Rick, tell me a little bit about who you are and what you've been working on.
My name is Rick Colonna, and my background is in photonics, which is basically the study of light. And then my experience has been 35 years in doing computer vision and automation using light. And so that's kind of what I've been doing. And I was not a coin collector when I started this. So it's been a learning curve for me. You know, I think maybe people would want to know how I got into it a little bit. And it all started, a coin was given to me as a good luck piece in 1976 when my wife and I got married, you know, so that's 50 years ago. And it was a $2.50 Indian head quarter. And I thought it was, I can remember getting it back then and thinking it was such the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life, you know, and I went to the library back then because, you know, the internet wasn't all that available. And so I came back home, I threw it in the drawer, and I really hadn't thought about it. I find this coin that had been sitting in this drawer for 50 years, and I pull it out, and I said, oh, wow, this is really cool. And, you know, find out a little bit more about it, and I find out it's worth anywhere between $400 and $4,000. So now I'm thinking, wow, man, being the greedy SOB I am, I wanted the $4,000 version. And next thing you know, I'm calling up these coin graders. You know, I have to figure out who they are. I have to, you know, learn what's going on. And I'm just blown away by, you know, it's a subjective process. We can't give you, you know, a grade, you know, or a cost of what it's going to cost to grade it. And you got to send it in, and you might get it back. And you know, back then when I called, this was 22 when I called, I think they were telling me 4 to 6 weeks. And it was
now that's a great amount of time.
Huh?
Now that's a fast time. So
Was so crazy. It blew my mind.
yeah.
And being a technology guy, and it's inspection. When you really think about it, it's inspecting something, right? And you're trying to find a classification for it. And so, after I hung up, I started saying, "Hey, there's got to be a better way." And so I started reading a ton of books and finding, getting the basics of grading and what people look for and how they do it. And I thought, oh, you know what? I can do something. I could build something like this. And so I built basically a proof of principle. And the object was to try to make something low cost so people could have access to it right away and they could get a result right away. Our focus was objective, quantitative information. That's what, in my 35 years, going into companies, that's what we did. We provided quantitative information because they were all doing something just subjectively. And real results, real good results come from when you combine both those ingredients, quantitative and subjective. And, typically the results come back, they're more consistent, they're more reliable. And to me, that's what coin grading needs.
Yeah.
So,
And I don't think anybody disagrees with that, that consistency is a big issue in coin grading because I think all of us who've graded a lot of coins have seen plenty of stuff come back and holders were like, this isn't right, or you get one back and there's a line where it could be this grade or that grade, and it goes either direction, and so that consistency is a big issue. So you've built a machine that
yes,
actually tries to do this, and
yes,
so you went from just calling up coin graders because you have a coin you want to grade, which I've talked about I
yes,
think in other videos where the internet's not always the best at giving you good
yes,
information,
that's
and you're
right.
trying, and you've actually taken it full swing into making a thing that you see as a good solution for that. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so basically, what I found out, through the book reading and talking to people, I mean, I talked to a ton of people, and for a while there, I felt like I was becoming. I think it's pretty much how everybody feels. You start doing it enough, you start feeling pretty comfortable what you're looking at, and
Mhm.
and getting an idea of what you're looking at. But on the same token, it's just you looking at it, right? You don't even realize the biases that you have when you're looking at coins. And it's startling to me. And I mean, one person might love luster more than another person. And so when they see heavy luster in a mint state coin, their bias is towards that coin, and it moves, it will move it up, a grade in their head, and they're willing to pay that. That's fine. But to grade it, and somebody who doesn't, then, that's where I think quantitative information kind of comes to play. And so what we did was we tried to build a device that was a measurement device and wasn't built specifically around, a particular series or a particular um, size. We were trying to make a generic device, and then we wanted to have a menu that directed the device what to do. And if I
Mhm.
can explain it this way, for example, there's a turntable in the device. There's four lighting elements in the device. There's a laser, there's a top light, there's something called a dark light, there's a diffuse light. And all these different lighting schemes produce different effects that you're looking for when you're grading a coin, whether it be surface imperfections, whether it be cleaning, whether it be strike, or wear, whatever you're looking for, there's a lighting technique that you use that kind of highlights that. And then we put RGB lights in it, and that helps with the different metallurgy, right? So we took it from approach of, we're trying to take it from a scientific approach of, all right, coins are made of metal.
Mhm.
Metal is what you're trying to reflect. So how do you maximize the reflection? How do you control the light? So it's a light tight box, and we have a light sensor in it, right? So it measures the lux. So not only are you, so not only can I control when I put a coin in, I can find the coin, I can locate a feature on the coin, and then I can rotate the coin to a specific position to do a specific measurement. So therefore, I'm always, for that series of coin, and quite frankly, even for, I could do it for mint location, and I could also do it for year. You can control where you want to grab that image. So we grab images on the machine. That's what the machine does, and it does it from a list of menus that are pre-programmed for, that coin series. I'm sure people argue about, is this red brown or is it brown, when it's right on the edge, what is it?
Sure.
Well, with a machine, with a camera, like 12.3 megapixel camera, and you're controlling the light, you can get really fine, you could really separate an edge of what you think, when you measure it, if it meets that number, it's one way or the other. Now, one of the questions I saw that you're going to ask is, how do you create the standard, of where you match these coins? And that's basically what we do. We'll take a coin, a particular coin series, and the things that we look for is, mint state coins. Well, we measure a coin, right? So if a coin came back and it's mint state, mint state 60, let's say, and there's the same coin and it's an AU58, we look at that and we compare, all right, what do we see and where? We look for edges, so if there's 352,000 edges and we're looking at, let's say, a Lincoln Weed penny, and, the coin comes back and it's 300,000, we'll know that separation, that 300,000 is an AU58 and the 350,000 is a mint state coin. Once we get the identification of a mint state coin, then we look at luster, we look at strike, even though we look at those things, even for, circulated coins. So,
Yeah.
we'll give all the data to the person for that particular coin.
Okay. And that's one thing that really fascinated me when we talked, because I make it the fun show. I
Yeah.
tried to do this video there. I was
Yeah.
trying to do work for the shop as well as get some quick YouTube videos in. We didn't make it happen then, so I'm glad we are now. But that was one of the things that when we talked at the fun show I was fascinated with was the measurement of the condition of the wear of the coin in
Yeah.
edges, because I'd never thought about it that way. Because I've thought about wear in terms of percentages before, but that's a way that it's quantified, and I think
Yes.
that's really fascinating. Um,
Well, I think, but you're right on to something, right? So what you'll find is that when you're grading these things by the edges of the coin, that it does stack up into percentages, right?
yeah,
You'll notice that, it's 10%, 20%, or 15%, you'll get these percentages of where the grades are. It's quite
mhm.
interesting. I was fascinated at how it correlates.
Yeah, that is interesting because I've had to do that with world coins because sometimes you really don't know what actual grade it is, but you can kind of estimate this looks like about 50% of the coin is gone of the
Yeah,
design And when we're talking about edges, we're not talking about the edge of the coin. We're talking about the
that's
edges, the
right.
design features in the
That's
coin
right.
and
That's
what's
exactly right.
still left. And so that was really fascinating. I think that's which I think you had said is a common feature for AI and machine learning in a way of doing that, correct?
Well,
Was a
it
common way of
is.
quantifying stuff.
Yeah, it is. But what's unique about our device, and what I had to learn the hard way, and I think something like, people like, these mobile apps like
Hmm.
CoinSnap and other folks, that be, because light hits the topography of the coin differently at different angles, if the coin is not in the same location when you're looking at it in a machine environment or any kind of, even with your eye, right? I mean, you're manipulating that coin all over the place with your eye and trying to get shadows to appear. And
Hmm.
with a machine, you want to try to duplicate everything the same every time. And so that's what makes our device very unique.
But yeah, that's one difficulty that people are going to face with those kind of apps is the
It's
lack of consistency. There's
it's
one
difficult.
lighting. Yeah, because I mean, true grading, it's a light in front of you, a single source light, and
Yeah.
you're at the right placement, right below your eyes where the light lineup is, and you're looking at the coin under that. It's very controlled environment. So even being in this room, it would be different. Being in your office right now, it would be different. And so you've found a way to create a controlled environment.
Well, yeah, I mean, we even took it a little step further, Brantley, and what I mean by that is like that light bulb that's in that fixture that you're talking about,
Mhm.
in a controlled environment, it fluctuates,
Yeah.
right? The frequency in that light is moving up and down. So we actually try to control that, in the machine. So we have a feedback loop that's always trying to put the constant lux, and that's why we have a sensor in there. And so
Mhm.
we're always monitoring how much light we're projecting onto that coin. So we're
Wow.
trying to keep everything as close together because we want one machine to give us the same image as another machine.
So one of the things we talked a little bit about is grading standards. What grading standards did you use? Are you going off the ANA grading standards? Are you using more market grading standards like we're seeing the grading services use, or is it something different? Can you kind of give us an idea on that?
Yeah, so we kind of talked about circulated coins a little bit, right? And so the grading standard we use there is we're not actually looking at features of a coin, like the ANA grading standards, more on the surface, all the edges of what we're seeing.
Mhm.
And you only have to look at three graded coins by a coin grading company, let's say PCGS or something like that, and you can make a correlation between that number or that grade that they gave it and the where number that we see, and then
Mhm.
you can almost do the percentages. So we'll start off and we'll say we'll look at maybe four coins in um, that series, and they'll have different grades on it. We'll look
Mhm.
at an MS60, we'll look at a AU58, we'll look at an F15, and some other one randomly in there, and all the other, and then we develop categories, right? So for every, we'll say A3 goes from um, I don't know, 50,000 to 100,000. F15 is, 175,000 to 210,000, something like that.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of how we come up with the grades for circulated coins. Mint states something different. Once we hit a certain threshold, we use NCI grading guide. And
I've got a
basic
copy of it. Yes, sir.
Yep. So we we
Yeah.
use that
Mhm.
we use that methodology to add weight to the things that we measure, right? So we measure luster. We come up with a number for luster. We come up with a number for surface imperfections. We come up with a number and where those surface imperfections happen. Are they in the center of the coin or are they on the outside of the coin? And so we go through those gyrations and it just becomes a weighted formula and out pops, whatever you've given it, out pops the Sheldon grade, the
Okay.
MS state grade, Sheldon grade. And that's how we do it. So our theory is, I mean, I think he did all the hard work.
Mhm.
I mean, he came up with the methodology. It seems to work. The book kind of tells you how to do it. And we just
Mhm.
put it to math, we just put math to it,
Okay.
and a database to it.
Yes, sir. That's
So that's what
that's
we're
really
using.
interesting. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So ultimately it is kind of it's not really necessarily just the true standards from the book, but it's applying the concepts of that just mathematically and finding a way
Yeah,
that a computer
yeah,
can interpret that.
I find it impossible that, I mean, humans are humans, right? I mean,
Mhm.
if you play telephone, it's hard to get the same answer when you got five people on the line. And
Mhm. It's
so I
true.
couldn't imagine, going, as I had to read that book. I bet you I read that book 5 times before I really started to apply what he was saying.
Hmm.
And so, here we are. We have applied it in machine, so now it's in the machine, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's the beauty of a machine, right? Once you figure it out, it's there, and it will always do the same thing over and over again.
So there are a few different types of coins that have special context to them, and
Yeah,
I just want to kind of hear how y'all's machine has dealt with this. Mercury dimes have the split bands, Roosevelt dimes, full bell lines on the Franklins, and then you get stuff like a Barber quarter where fine you really need to see full Liberty on the coin.
yeah.
How have y'all implemented that into your process as well?
Well, I think in defining the machine, you realize that it's really just a tool, right? So it has a motor. We find the coin. We're able to locate the coin wherever we want to, with inside a 360-degree rotation.
Mhm.
So when we're looking, so if you have a coin that is a variety and it's a known variety, right? You can go to that location and look for that feature on that coin. Like the banner, the barber, looking for liberty,
Mhm.
right? You rotate the coin, you know where it should be, you look for it, right? If it's there, and then it becomes just a matter of template matching, right? You're matching a template to another template. We don't come back and we say, this has on a Mercury, it has the bands on the torch, we don't say that. What we do say is, this potentially is a variety.
Okay.
That's what we say. And
And then you
so,
go and look for that feature.
that's kind of where we draw the line between where subjective viewing and information has to play a part in determining what that coin really is. We're going to give you the data. We'll give you the quantitative data. There's something there, it could be valuable. So
Mhm.
you got to, get other people's opinions, right? That's kind of,
Yeah. So yours is providing the context for it, not necessarily the definitive in that context, is what you're saying.
yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. There's a lot of collectors who have trouble with that issue of spotting, cleaning, and damage. And we've already kind of talked about that a little bit. You
Yeah.
did mention that your machine is set up to recognize cleaning. So first of all, does it give a similar grade like the grading services would do, where it's like a details grade, or does it just recognize, hey, there is cleaning here or damage here? How
Yeah,
does that work?
it's the same way we do, you know, variants or we so what the actual lighting technique we use to do this is called diffuse lighting, right? And
Mhm.
it's lights at a very shallow angle of a coin, and it circles the whole coin, right? So it's like in a cup, and you have these 19 LEDs around it, you know, fluorescing light, depending on what the metallurgy is of the coin, and it will make the coin actually look like a mirror.
Hmm.
So it's really weird. And you could see anything, right? I mean, you see little hair, you see flakes, you see all this stuff. And so you can detect, you know, swirl marks or that somebody took a brush across it. You can
Mhm.
see that stuff, but again, we don't try to classify what that is. We just say something's there. It's possibly been cleaned. That's all we do,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And it just alerts the person to, hey, this could have been cleaned.
Okay,
So
so it does alert them though. This could have been cleaned
yes,
potentially. Because that's a big
yep,
difference, you hit a clean designation versus a straight grade. And in some
yeah.
some
No, I
some
get it.
coins, some coins that doesn't matter, like barber halves. There's a very gracious for high grade barbers with a little cleaning to them because they're so rare. But a lot of coins, a little bit of cleaning can kill it. But
Well,
that's good. It's good to recognize that.
I bought a again, I can't even believe I'm saying these things, but I bought because I don't think of myself as a coin collector, but I'm buying all these coins. So I bought this coin on eBay,
Mhm.
and it looked great. It was the 2D photo. It was kind of by a reputable source,
Hmm.
and it wasn't in a container though. And I bought it, and I got it back, put it on the machine, and sure enough, man, there were the cleaning marks. So
Wow. So you got it and it confirmed it for you
yeah,
right there
and
on the
then
machine.
and then I sent it off to get graded, and it came back, sure enough,
Now, before we get off this topic, because you've hinted at something I want to talk about in just a second. I'm excited to actually get to. The other side of that is counterfeits. And you had
yeah,
mentioned you can measure and see, like if you have enough examples, you can measure and see with scanning and all those
yeah,
measurements you can apply to
yeah,
checking for counterfeits. But just tell me a little bit about counterfeit detection, what it's
yeah.
capable of doing, and all that.
Well, it's interesting because what this machine, so just think of it. It's an optical machine, right?
Mhm.
So counterfeits that have a different weight, even though we have coin holders, coin pucks for each coin, diameter of coin. The so you can check kind of the diameter that way, but we really don't have a caliper in the machine. I mean,
Mhm.
you can measure it. You can't do thickness.
Mhm.
So I can't check to see if it's flat, right? I mean, I've had a coin that was bent,
Mhm.
and I couldn't see it. So that's something we don't do. We
Mhm.
don't try to do it. It's almost, people say, well, can you incorporate these kind of features into the machine? It would cost a fortune.
Mhm.
So really, we stay away from that, and we, kind of put that back onto the person looking at the coin, which I think there's a lot of information how to do it out there
Mhm.
on the internet. More importantly, though, is these super fakes that people talk about. Those are the really hard ones to find. And optically is a great way to do it, right? Because
Yes.
once somebody's identified that this is a fake, it has a signature.
Mhm.
And that coin signature will appear every time, 100% of the time. So, again, since we know the date, the mint mark, you can go to the location of where that feature is, or that little signature is of that coin, and classify it as a counterfeit.
Yes, sir.
So
Yeah. Mhm.
optically we can do it, physically
Yeah.
we can't.
Honestly, I feel like optically is stronger and more important than physically.
People, very good people have been fooled, a lot of
Yeah.
money spent,
Hmm.
and so I will say this: we do not do edges,
Hmm.
right? So we do not do the side of the coin, so we
Yeah.
can't see that, so we don't do it.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, that's a way people can see counterfeits.
That is, yes. Mhm.
Ours is the obverse and the reverse side of the coin is kind of where we play.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. But there's, as you said, if you have a known fake, like, and there are known fakes out there, you can identify that one mark, then you can start to play
Yeah.
with it, and yeah. Mhm. But that's really good because I think optically, a lot of people think that weighing a coin, diameter. There are a lot of fakes out there that were made intentionally to have the right weight and diameter and composition.
Yeah, no, I
And that's
I think
that's
a
the thing.
device like this could really be I don't want to say benchmark, but kind of like a database
Mhm.
for, if all these defects start to appear, there's now becomes a national database for something like this that doesn't exist today.
Mhm.
Right now, it's almost kind of like you got to get lucky.
Now, most collectors are familiar with slabs from the grading services.
Yeah,
Some of them are even familiar with photo grades, the old photo grade slabs, where it's in a plastic, but like it's a cellophane and it comes with a card. There's a picture.
yeah,
Or so it's different for what's going to be spit out of this machine after
yes,
you get your coin analyzed. Can you explain
yes,
what's there on the thing?
yeah. So, yeah, that's a great question. So this is meant to be a home device, where and it's also meant to just does raw coins. It doesn't do slab coins, right?
Yes, sir.
Because every coin has a unique fingerprint, absolutely has a unique fingerprint, right? If you're measuring, 7 different elements, you're never going to get those same elements in the same place on the same series of coin the same year. So,
Mhm.
it actually, you don't need to have it in a holder. Just put it in a flip. Once they grade it, they mark the grade down. I've bought many coins in a flip, that's got somebody put the grade down what they thought it was, and I bought the coin after looking at it. So
Yes, sir. Yeah. But your machine's actually going to give them a printout that has like
oh
almost a
yeah, I'm
fingerprint to it
sorry.
then.
Yeah,
Right?
so
Yeah.
yeah, so basically the machine just grabs the image, and then those images are sent to the cloud. And our algorithms are actually in a server in the cloud, right?
Okay.
So it's only one, we only have one algorithm. I mean, we have one central computer that all these images are going to and
Mhm.
being run through. And then we populate a report of the criteria that we're measuring. And then we email that back to the customer of what that criteria was and what the grade is within inside 15 minutes of when the coin finished grabbing images. So
Okay.
that's kind of how the service works.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And then that person has a basically the machine gives them a report of the
Yeah, gives
coin
them
then,
a
correct?
report, gives them a hard
Mhm.
copy, they can print it out.
Yeah.
It also stores the images, um, which you can bring up on your phone. So basically when these images are done and we fill out a report, we give that coin a unique ID number, right?
Mhm.
And so that ID number gets printed on the report, and we also print up a unique QR code.
Mhm.
So when you get that QR code, you can scan the QR code and the images will come up on your cell phone, right? So we call that a public record, and
Mhm.
the one that goes to your email is a private record, right? So
Okay.
there's more data so we're giving you all the data that we pulled off the image,
Mhm.
whereas the public record is really just the image. So you could blow it up, you could actually look at it. So it's kind of like, all right, let me look at the luster, right? So you can see how much luster the coin has,
Mhm.
and how we measure it. So
You talked about having the coin in the little holder in the plastic, which you can get yourself, which people can also get it in plastic by sending it to a grading service.
yes,
But in this case, how do they stack up against each other? What have you found? Because you've mentioned you've sent some coins to grading after you've tested
yeah,
them. What have you found from your experience? How many coins have you tested this with? What's your sample size?
yeah,
Kind of what have you experienced with that?
yeah. So what we did was we took a sample size of 62 coins,
Mhm.
and we decided that we were going to pick 40 coins out of the sample size and send them to each one of the 5 coin graders, get the
Mhm.
coins back, record the information, take them out, crack them up, send them back out to the next grader, have them grade it. And it's blown my mind. I can't even tell
Mhm.
you. So anyway, and we also did it with CoinSnap, so
Mhm.
we put everything to the test. And really what we found is of the 62 coins, there were only 2 coins that came back with the same grade for all 4 companies.
Mhm. Wow.
The
Wow.
the other thing that was amazing to me that 50% of all mid-state coins were off by 1 grade.
Mhm.
They didn't cross over.
Yeah.
Um, the what was the other a couple other statistics. I just they it's kind of like if you go on Google and you were to say, what are the crossover rates for the coin grading companies? They'll
Mhm.
come back with give you an average like they're anywhere between 30 and 45, or it's below 50%.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
That's exactly what we found. we,
Wow.
we found the average to be of the sample size that we had. It was actually the average was 31%. It came back. The things that you hear like what ANACS, they're probably
Mm.
they're more conservative graders. So you'll see those things actually play out, and
Yeah.
in the
Mhm.
in what we found.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've had some interesting experiences with crossovers, trying different grading services. With mint state grading, I mean, we talked about this a little bit. As I said, I don't really believe there's necessarily a grade. There's sometimes a point spread I can give a grading service. I can be like,
Yes.
I can give you that. If you start to get to more than a point spread, that's kind of wild. It's the circulated coins that because I've got a wall. We have some coins on a wall in the other room that we don't show people. We do this for ourselves. But we keep all the slabs that are just something's not quite right about them. I'm not going to say which grading service, but I have an XF slab of an '09 VDB penny, in which it's a VG coin in an XF slab, and that's a big difference. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
that's a big difference, really big. Like catches your eye as soon as you look at it.
You know,
Um,
yeah. No, we saw the same thing. I think the number was 11.6% of the coins had more than a three grade difference
hmm.
um, of the 62. And I also, what was the other one that geez, I forgot off the top of my head. But yeah, there's a lot of difference in them. And
Mm,
so the question is, how do we compare to that? And because we're taking basically we're measuring empirical data first, and then we're just measuring the coin and looking at that empirical data for each one of the defects, and then coming up with, using Jim Halpern's, that's his name,
that's it. Yeah.
his version of how you weight these. That's how
Yes,
we
sir.
come up with the Mint-State coin. So, we feel like, when you get the Mint-State coin grade from the grading companies, it's just the grade. They don't tell you how they got there.
Mm,
That's what I think is different about us. We'll tell you how we got there.
mm,
You can tell us we're full of crap, but that's how we got there. You know,
yeah.
the luster was really high, the strike was really good, and we'll actually assign a number to it. So
Mm,
that's why I think we're different. And I think that information goes a long way to, if you have a dispute with a grading company, because everybody's looking, listen, I don't think for a moment that, automatically this machine is going to be the de facto standard in the business. I don't think that at all. I think what
mm,
it is something to assist graders, a second pair of eyes before you send it to a coin grader to get
mm.
the PCGS or the CAC, sticker on it that you want. So,
Yes, sir.
it maximizes its value.
Having a second pair of eyes is important. We talked a little bit about how your perception of a coin can change. Different people's perception of a coin can be different. That is extremely true. I will take a coin. I've got coins in my own collection. Some days I look at it and I'm like, that is a nice coin. And other days I look at it and I'm like, why do I still have this when I need to replace it? Same coin, hasn't
Yeah.
changed. My
Yeah.
perception of it's changed. And I'll sometimes do that with coins. We all do that. Whenever we want to get a
Yeah.
coin graded, we'll share it around. What do you think about this coin?
Yeah.
Because I might be in love with it. I might think it's got a shot at full bell lines on this coin, but I'm not. I'm justifying that little spot that probably won't make it get it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or it could be your baby. Everybody's coin is their baby. They see it as
Yeah. No, I
beautiful,
get it.
and
It totally makes sense to me. I
exactly,
mean, that's where
and
the subjective nature comes in, right?
it does.
But I
Yes, it
still
does.
think, you still need that. I still think quantitative, let me say this, there is no inspection in the world that doesn't happen without quantitative to get data,
Mm.
except in trading cards, dollar bills, and coins.
Yeah, no, that's probably true. Yeah, no, we're at a point now where I think that AI can definitely assist in that. So here's a thing that I have thought about a lot because I've recently purchased some stuff that's kind of funky. Stuff like I do tokens as well, local trade
Oh,
tokens. My favorite coin in my collection is a token made by the Jews in the Lodz ghetto in Lodz,
yeah.
Poland in World War II. And so those are obscure things that you don't see every day. Is it possible that this will be able to account for those type things too eventually, like world coins, obscurities? Or is this really more focused on stuff where the type is well established for US coins and that kind of thing?
Yes, that's a great question, you know. So when we thought of this machine, you know, and again, being technologists and doing this for a lot of different companies, the first thing you the first thing you're taught to do is put your arms around it. You know, try to,
Mhm.
don't make it so big that you lose sight of what you're trying to do.
Yes, sir.
So for us, when we came out with this machine, it was, all right, we're just going to focus on US coins,
Mhm.
everything since 1792, which is about 800 billion
It's
coins.
still a
So
lot,
we
yeah.
felt like that was big enough.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the envelope of the coin size, we felt that was pretty good size,
Mhm.
which is 60 millimeters. So, but to get back to your question, yes, we feel like this will do all world coins.
Mhm.
As far as tokens, it can really do anything that's round,
Mhm.
and but you have to have the empirical data. You have to have a couple samples to
Mhm.
create the empirical database,
Yes, sir.
right?
Mhm.
Once you have that, then for sure.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, so anything that has where there's more than one of them known to
Yeah, when there's
exist.
more than one, yep.
Yeah. Um, and so that leads me to the next question. So it is something that since everything's stored in the cloud, it's something you can update as you go. You can add more stuff to
Yes.
potentially.
Yeah, so again, it's menu driven, right? So
Mhm.
people just have to remember the box is just a tool that has four lights, a rotary table, a camera, and we're turning them on, turning them off from this menu that we're, sending that we create
Mhm.
into the machine. And so it starts doing its thing and taking images. So the box is, just think of the box as stupid, and being driven by menus, and the menus are going up to the cloud, and there's algorithms that are going to run to look for certain things.
I saw on your website, it said something about a guarantee on the grade. Can you explain what your guarantee is? Like, what are you promising to the
Yeah.
customers who use the
So
product?
yeah. So the first guarantee is that if we don't give you a Sheldon grade in 15 minutes,
Mhm.
then you don't pay for the fee of the service, right? Um, you still have to buy the machine, but so let's talk about the fee of the service. So we have two models. One model is a pay as you go. So the minimum fee is 20 cents and the maximum fee is $10. So if
Mhm.
you had a coin that was valued at $5 and you want to have it graded, have another set of eyes look at it, you're never going to send that coin typically you're not going to send it to a third party company, but heck, you like the coin and you want to have a grade on it. So you run it through the machine, your charge is going to be 50 cents for that coin, right? So
Mhm.
you get all the stuff we talked about, and it's 50 cents. Now, if you had a $10,000 coin and you run it through the machine, and before you send it to the third party grader, you want to have the data of what that coin looks like in case something happens to it,
Mhm.
and also verify that it's going to be worth the money to send there and have them grade it. Um, you pay $10, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Mhm.
that's pay as you go. The other way that we operate is we have a subscription service.
Mhm.
So you can either pay monthly, right? I mean, and stuff as many coins as you want to in the machine. You pay us 69.95
Mhm.
and have fun, right? And
Yes,
you're
sir.
going to get back a grade, um, and you can decide what you want to do with your coins.
Mhm.
Or you can sign up for a yearly subscription and pay 29.95 a month and run as many coins as you want to through the machine. So that's kind of the two ways that we operate. So
Okay.
that's one guarantee is the service fee. The other
Mhm.
guarantee is that what is the other guarantee? The other guarantee is that we will. Oh, that you can run the same coin through the machine as many times as you want for one fee, right? So,
Okay.
you just pay the fee once and you're done. Except in the subscription model where, you're paying monthly and you're doing, but on a pay as you go, if you have a coin and you've paid for that coin, you could, even if you sold the coin to somebody else, as long as they have and as a matter of fact, they don't even need the number because the coin is its own ID number. But if they have the coin's ID, then we don't charge them.
You already kind of touched on the next topic, which was the pricing. We talked, you mentioned
Yeah,
there is a fee to grade. Now, in context of grading's expensive. You send
very
off
expensive.
some coin can, I mean, I've had a coin literally, well, it was technically two coins, and that's why I got expensive because it was in a double holder.
Oh,
By the time I got done with that coin, it was an error. It was a split planchet, so I had to pay two attributions for the error because
wow.
it's two separate sides of one coin, and one of them it was a double die on one side, so I had to pay the double die at variety fee, and then you get the double holder fee and the two grading fees, and that coin got really pricey because it was the only one on a single submission form, shipping to and
Wow.
from $10
Yeah.
service fee. That got pricey. It's a cool coin, worth it in my opinion, but still pricey. So the point is, anybody who doesn't know, coin grading is expensive. Even the
Very
cheapest you're going to
expensive.
get is probably $25, $30 a coin as an individual. As a dealer, it's different. I get bulk grading. It's very
Yeah.
different. But for an individual, it's pricey. So, but there is a cost involved with what you're doing. You've mentioned there it tops out at $10 for the individual, like if it
Yeah.
pays you go, as low as 20. You've mentioned there is a monthly and a yearly plan they can do as well. But before they get there, how much is the machine itself? Like
Yeah.
because
So
it's an expensive machine.
yeah, listen, it's not cheap, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's around $1,200, 1,100, 1,195. However, come next week, we have an Indigo campaign, which we're selling the machine for $795.
Mhm.
So, and with that, if you pledge, you'll get the first 100 units that are sold will get 6 months free subscription,
Mhm.
and the next up to 1,000 units will get 2 months free subscription.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're running that campaign for a month,
Mhm.
and like I said, the machine's $795.
Yes, sir. Okay. So it is discounted for that campaign. So right now, you're that actually kind of leads into the next thing. We can go back to pricing. You're pre-production so far.
Yes.
You have a working prototype, I'm guessing. Tell us about where you're at in the process with
Yeah.
that crowdfunding. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll tell you exactly. So like I said, I started this thing in 22.
Mhm.
We've gone through, when you go to the Indiegogo campaign, you'll actually see, you tell the story, you'll see, the different versions of prototypes that we did.
Mhm.
You'll see the validation study that we're doing, and you'll see the machine, how to operate. You'll see the user interface. The things that were lacking, and we still need about $120,000 to finish the software on the communication side. So let me step back just one little bit here.
Okay. Mhm.
So there's different elements of of this service. One is the machine, which is completely built. There's a circuit board that we're going to cost reduce, but it's working. It's totally functional. The software that resides inside that box, we've been working with and selling that software we probably have 5,000 units out in the field doing other things, right? So
Mhm.
it's not like we had to create this from scratch. There's
Mhm.
a lot of stuff that was already there, right? So us talking to lights, turning lights on and off, us doing the control feedback, all that kind of stuff is there. Us doing some finding the coin and rotating the coin. We've been doing those kind of things for a long time.
Mhm.
We've taken that software, and that's the software also resides in the cloud. So that has the algorithm. So again, this software's been doing a lot of things we've already been doing. What we haven't done in this particular context of coin grading is we haven't put the images into a folder and then sent the folder to the cloud and then extracted the images from the folders into the software where the algorithms are. So that's part of the, the money
Yeah,
and then it's
that
also on the
cloud
back
space, I'm
end,
sure, is
where we
a
take the image, where we take the data, we populate a report, and then we email it. But listen, it's not rocket science what we have left to do.
Yeah.
Other people are doing it with other things like HubSpot and stuff like that.
Mm.
So, we think that it's very manageable.
Yes, sir. Yeah. It's mostly that cloud. I'm guessing cloud storage fees and everything is
Yeah,
part of that process. It's
yeah,
a lot of data, probably.
yeah,
Yeah. Yes, sir.
yeah. So our production schedule is that we hope to start shipping the 100 units in July.
Okay.
Right, from a February buy, to a July.
Yes, sir. Okay.
And if we don't get the 100 units, then we're not, the product will be delayed until we get funding to complete the task.
Yes, sir. That's ultimately we talked a little bit about this before the video. Ultimately, the difficulty of crowdfunding, if it doesn't quite go well, it's is what it is. But
It is what it is.
yes, sir.
It got pretty good reception. It had fun. I think people really, I think they they get it. I think they're searching for quantitative information.
One last question I have. I didn't have this on the sheet, but I think this is important because a lot of people, somebody about watching this might think this sounds like it's for me. This sounds like it's not for me. Whatever it may be, everybody's different, in their place with this. Who's your target? Like, who do you think is the ideal person for this? Do you have a specific collector in mind? Whether it be somebody new or somebody with more experience, like you mentioned, somebody wanting just a second opinion. Who do you think
Yeah,
is ideal for?
that's an excellent question, man. I have been, I don't come from I call it, listen, I don't want to offend anybody, but I call this marketplace a cult because people are fanatical. They are really fanatical in this, and they should be. I mean, it's money, and
It's money
people
involved.
make money, and
Mhm.
and they lose money. And so to me, I'm not a coin collector. Well, let me say this. I wasn't a coin collector. I am now, but I wouldn't be if I didn't have this machine
Mhm.
because I don't trust myself and I don't trust the other people that I might buy coins from. And it's not anything against them. I just don't know them,
I understand.
and so to answer your question, it could be a range of things. I will say that once we've come up with the subscription plan, coin dealers have been very receptive to the machine because they see it as a second pair of eyes before they send it to coin graders.
Yes, sir.
So I would say, with inside the context of the market, probably the coin dealers are, probably the target.
And some coin dealers I think would gravitate towards having that second pair of eyes. And as you mentioned, having a little more of an objective process of assessing a coin.
I'll also say this. I was fortunate to meet somebody who's a very well-known person with inside the coin community, and but I'm not going to use his name. And he was telling me that he had a coin. He's probably considered one of the foremost experts in the world in this particular series of coin,
Hmm.
and he wanted to get it graded. He sent it to he knows that, you guys all know, some of the people with inside these companies. I don't know any
Hmm.
of them, but he was saying that, you know, he, there was one person who didn't, everybody else wanted to give the grade, the higher grade, and the one person, he couldn't get that person to agree. And the person was saying he was seeing something that the other people weren't seeing.
Hmm.
So, he saw this as a way for him to quantify, hey, is there something there or not?
Yes,
And
sir. Yeah.
so, that's how he saw using the machine, which I thought was quite interesting. And
Hmm.
I think I mean, I think the people who are in the business would know how to use quantitative data to argue their case to the coin graders.
I don't know that strictly AI grading, as you mentioned, there's a need for eyes on, but
Yeah,
is a thing that's going to happen. But I think AI supported grading is the direction that the grading services need to move in as this technology becomes available and as it becomes accessible.
it would help
Because
them.
absolutely,
It would give them credibility. I mean, it'd give them more credibility and
yeah,
consistency, right? I mean, that's
I,
what you guys
I
are looking for.
absolutely. I don't think I'd have that VG coin in an XF slab if at least it had gone through a
Mm.
machine first.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm a big fan of coin grading. I'm going to say that right now. I'm a big fan of
yeah,
coin graders. I put my money where my mouth is, and I have some not so cheap coins that are graded, and I think a lot of
yeah,
collectors do. So I do put stock in it, but you got to look at the coin. You got to look at the coin and the holder. Buy the coin, not the holder. It's
yeah,
true. But I do acknowledge and recognize that there are things that
yeah.
could improve. So yeah,
That, listen, man, there's people put many years into this, and I get it. Then they're good at what they do.
yeah, hmm
So,
yeah, absolutely. Richard, I appreciate your time so much for talking with me today. It's an absolutely interesting concept and fascinating, and I'm interested to see where it goes from here.
all right, Brantley. Thanks, bud.
Okay, so that was a really long interview. I get it. I'm going to try and keep this short and succinct. But before we get started, I do want to mention a few things. One thing I've already mentioned, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm not getting sponsored to do this. And I'm not sponsoring this product. I just think it's pretty cool, and I wanted to tell y'all about this. So I do have the link to the Indiegogo crowdfunding thing that's going on starting today when I post this video. If you do want to get involved with this project, there it is right there. And be aware that there are risks involved in getting started with a crowdfunding thing, as he mentioned. It could take time if they don't get the initial people they need. But nonetheless, if you think this is cool and you want to support it, there it is right there. I don't get anything from it. It's not an affiliate link. Second thing I want to mention is that for me in the shop, I'm not sure it's going to be right for me. That doesn't mean it's not right for you, possibly. I'll talk a little more about that. But when I first heard about this, I got an email from Rick prior to the fun show. And I saw it, and I was so busy getting ready for the fun show with all the stuff we had going on. I saw the email, I read it, and I said, okay, the guy's going to be at the fun show. I'll just get with him then. Because I didn't even have time to reply. I meet him at the fun show. When I first got that email and I first saw it online, my initial reaction was, I don't know about this. I don't see this being a solution. And then I started talking about the fun show, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm starting to see where this could be useful, and I kind of like where it's going, and it's really cool technology. And that's the point at which I decided, okay, I would like to do a video on this because it's at least really cool technology. And then talking with him about the ins and outs of it and getting to know him more, as well as his very realistic perspective about what it is he's got, I was like, this is actually pretty neat. I actually like it myself. And that's why I'm happy to actually do this video. So I'm still going to be very fair. I told him from the get-go I'm not going to endorse it. I'm going to give a fair critique of the things I like and don't like. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. First of all, some of the things I like the fact that it's actually quantifying data about the coins. I like all the potential that this system holds. I like the fact that it can spot counterfeits that are known counterfeits. I think there are some things that anti-counterfeit technology can be implemented into this system over time. Realistically, being able to spot the differences on a coin, the die markers that are for known counterfeits, as well as being able to spot things that you know should look a certain way, if it's actually a genuine US Mint coin, that solves a lot of the problem right there. And he is getting the data with every single scan, as well as whatever pictures are online already that he could access. He's getting data with every single scan to be able to help the machine learn what to look for counterfeits. And so I'm excited about that. And I hope to see that implemented and developed over time. I'm really excited about that because it's super important. It's going to get more and more important every single day. When it comes to the grading aspect, I'm interested to see how it works. I think that whether or not it directly correlates to PCGS, NGC, whatever, if it's consistent in what it has, if it's consistent in how it grades, then it's going to be an improvement on what we see on the market, even in slabs. Because consistency is something that humans are not good at. When it comes to minutia, when it comes to raw data that we're not actually running numbers on and calculating, when we're just trying to eyeball it, literally what grading is. And so I'm excited to see data being implemented into coin grading and using AI and using machine learning. I think it's going to be exciting to see just how it works. So I think it's super cool. I like the fact that there is a plan where you can pay a monthly fee for it, because I'm not a fan of the pay-as-you-go method. And the reason why, so if you do decide you want to get this, it's an expensive machine. There's a lot going into this, so it's understandable why it's so expensive. It's a lot of components, a lot of technology, a lot of research, a lot of cloud storage, and that's expensive. But when it comes to the individual scans, the pay-as-you-go plan, in my opinion, I don't know. It doesn't sound like something I would want to do. I would want to be on one of the monthly plans or the yearly plan, whatever the big plan is, to where you can just do as many as you want to, because that's what makes sense to me. If you're going to buy the thing, use it as much as you can, get the most out of it, and get enough coins to where it actually makes it worth your money. So get the big plan is what I would do if I were going to be doing this. One of the reasons I'm that way is because the value of a coin is also complicated. So assessing what the value of a coin is based upon the scan of a machine to determine how much it's going to charge you for it, I would like to hear more how that's developed, and I forgot to ask him about that, so I'm not going to imply that it's in any way problematic. I'm just saying I'd like to know kind of how it goes, what it goes off of. Like, does it go off of like the coin in a generic grade, or does it go off of what the grade assessed was for that particular coin? How close to, full market value is that? But remember, the grading fee is a maximum of like $20, so it's not like it can just skyrocket the price on you. But still, $20 is $20. So, yeah, I would still personally rather just pay a plan and be done with it. That's just me. On top of all of that, some other things that I really am excited to see where this goes is what I did talk with him about, but I kind of cut it out of this because I don't think this is something he... after talking with him about it, that he is extremely well versed in. I mean, remember, he's not a coin collector. He's a designer who's designed something that helps coin collectors. But when it comes to areas like varieties and errors, I think there's a lot of potential here. And not so much in the error realm, but in the variety realm. And I actually would like to have a conversation with him when I get some more time to kind of tell him how this could really be implemented in a way that would help a lot of cherry pickers in a way to where this might appeal to a big audience. Because remember, varieties are binary. It either is or is not the double die based on the die markers as well as the specific doubling that's on every coin just like it made by that particular die. You're identifying a die that struck the coins and they all look the same. So you can identify it if you just have an example of it. There are high definition pictures online already. There are tons of them out there to be scanned. And those guys who literally will spend $500, $600 on a nice new microscope to be able to look through coins could easily get something like this that would help them confirm, yes, it is or is not the double die you think it is, which I think would be a great opportunity. Now, does it do that now? No, it does not. But I see the potential there, and I would love to see that implemented because that's the one area I think AI will be the most beneficial for coins. Yes, grading 100%, it's going to be helpful, but varieties, it is or is not the variety. Because believe me, there are grading services who mess up variety attribution, and in a big way. I've seen it. I've seen $500 variety slabs with $100 varieties in them because the person who did the variety attribution messed up. And that's a big difference when you go to buy it, especially when you start adding another 0 or 2 on the end of that. Big difference. So anyway, those are the things I like and the areas I'm really hopeful for this development because I do see this as a necessity. Some things I'm concerned with. I'm always concerned with crowdfunding. I'm still waiting on the crowdfunding item that I purchased a year and a half ago that I think is supposed to ship soon, but I don't know. So I'm always skeptical of crowdfunding because there are a lot of times that things don't go well. Now this one's a little bit different for me because I've met Rick. I've seen how much effort he's put into this. I've talked with him extensively about it. So I feel like there's a lot of potential in this, and I feel like he's the kind of guy who really wants to see this through. And he's put a lot of time and effort into this. So it's, in my mind, something that has a lot of potential to actually get the funding and get going. But ultimately, it is up to the people who actually want to support it. Will he get enough people to support it? And how long will it take if that's the case? He did send me something that explained that there is a refund policy. As long as the campaign is still going on Indiegogo, you can cancel. As soon as it ends, it's up to the individual, or Mr. Colonna and his company, to decide if they'll do that. And he has said that his policy is, after the campaign ends, if you request the cancellation before they schedule delivery, which is usually 6 to 8 weeks prior to shipping, then they will only charge a 25% cancellation fee. So they only keep 25% of the money, and the rest of it will be refunded, is what he sent me. It's like a restocking fee, basically. That money is going towards actually something that's happening, that you are literally paying for them to be working it out. So I think that's actually very fair on a crowdfunding. In fact, he's offering a cancellation after the end of the campaign is, in my opinion, impressive. I want to see it work. I guess I have seen one of these in person, but it wasn't a working prototype. It wasn't a working model. It was kind of a mock-up for the show. He didn't have a working prototype there at the time. Remember, he said this in there, that they've got some things they have to actually work out in that process. So I'm not entirely sure if there is a finalized working prototype for the final thing. He's had numerous iterations of it, and some of those have worked that they've tested. But I'm not sure if there is like the final thing finally ready to go, or if they just have like the mock-up of it. And there are things that actually have to be done. So it wasn't like I could go up to him at the show and just have a coin and just put it in the machine and see it graded. And so I haven't seen it actually work yet. I'd like to see that personally. I'm excited to see how that works. I'm a little bit skeptical about its ability to grade things in a capacity that would make sense for most collectors. We talked about the issue with cleaning. He said it will alert people to cleaning based on what it sees on there. And it's quantifiable, so it's not a matter of like, there might be a line here, like a little hairline. It's either there or it's not, and that's great. I love quantifiable, like definitive stuff. But the problem comes down to, how will it be judged by the market? Because yes, it might be quantifiable and consistent, that it recognizes this amount of hairlines as cleaning. But if that amount of hairlines is on a Barber half dollar versus a Kennedy half dollar, that can be a very different thing. And I'd love to see, I want to see how that works out in real life grading of how this is coming out. Is it actually able to give me a grade that would represent what the market would dictate is acceptable for the grade? Because it's not just a matter of whether or not it matches a PCGS or NGC grade. I think there's a little more to it than that, of does it really match a market acceptance? Does a collector who walks up to the table and sees the coin, are they going to look at that report and say, not only do I think this coin is acceptable for this grade at PCGS, but I think that this coin is acceptable for what this report is telling me it assesses. Because it's giving the data. The data's there. But is the result it interprets the data to be going to be what they would accept it to be? So anyway, so nonetheless, that is a distinction I want to make here, that there is a distinction between the grade that this spits out, that it thinks the coin is, and the data it provides in conjunction with that. Because, once again, nonetheless, however you quantify it, there is a arbitrary grade that's arbitrary, but still, in this case, very quantifiable, in conjunction with hard data. And so the data, in my opinion, is what this service and this machine is really providing. That's the value, in my opinion. The grade is still yet to be determined of whether that's going to associate exactly or not. And nonetheless, my point is If you didn't quite get what I'm saying there, will I trust this machine spitting it out for me to say I trust the grade it gives me to be what I'm willing to pay for the coin based on gray sheet or CPG? Maybe not. I'm not sure yet. I want to see it. Would I trust this machine to tell me every single little tick and mark on that coin so I can, that would lead me to a conclusion of grading, or that would lead a grader to a conclusion of grading, or this machine itself? Do I trust the data? Absolutely. If this does what it says it's going to do, if it does what it says it's going to do, then that would be amazing. Anywho, all that being said, how do I feel about this product? As I said, when I first saw it, I was very skeptical when I first saw it. I was like, I don't know. I'll go see what it is. When I saw it in person, when I saw what was going on at the show, in the midst of my chaos, I was a lot more interested. And then now looking at it now, where it is, and having a better understanding of it, I think the thing is actually pretty cool. I don't think it's going to be one that I buy. First of all, I don't have the cash to just drop on the machine. That's one thing. Second, I doubt this YouTube video is going to earn me enough money to buy it, so, But I doubt I can make the shop want to do it either. I don't think they're going to want to see it. Remember, I've taken classes in grading. Dash and Miles have also taken the same classes in grading, hosted by the A&A. So we've spent more money on grading classes than the cost of this machine. And we've spent hours of our time. And on top of that, we have a lot of experience. So, and we're also in a place where we're not really that worried of like rolling the dice and seeing if something hits for a grade. We send coins off all the time that we're like, I don't know, maybe it'll hit the grade we want, maybe it won't. Let's just try it. For coin dealers who haven't done those classes, or like the A&A classes, or coin dealers who aren't as confident with their skills, or they're consistently getting back grades that they're not expecting, which we do have happen, I guess, so maybe I'm in this camp more than I think. Or maybe for coin dealers who they're more risk averse with what they're sending to grading. They don't have the $20 to just keep forking out for every coin. They just want to see what it could be. This could be a wonderful system for them. This could be a prime thing that would really amplify their abilities and help mitigate a limitation that is holding their business back. So, I don't know. It's not for me, personally. It could be for the shop, but I think it would be more for a curiosity. Also, I think it'd be more for settling bets. We would have this thing of, I think it's this, I think it's this. I bet you $20 it's not. And I think it would be settling bets more than it would, more than necessarily it would be influencing what we send for grading, just with our situation with grading. But nonetheless, I feel like for coin graders and for coin dealers, this could be very beneficial. And for collectors, too. If you do a lot with raw coins, this could be great. Overall, I like it. Am I going to buy it? I don't know. Probably not. Do I recommend you buy it? I'm not going to recommend you do anything with your money. I'm going to recommend you watch the video and see if it fits what you need. If you like AI and coins, you love the concept, and you want to be on the cutting edge of helping AI be integrated into coin grading with a really innovative and cool product that's coming to crowdfunding, and that you can actually grade coins in your home with AI grading, go for it. I don't do it. It sounds amazing. I mean, if I had $800 sitting around that I could just do this with, I probably would throw it in there just to try it out and have fun with it. If you don't need this product, if it doesn't fit any need in your life, then don't buy it. But if you feel like it's something that would benefit you, or you just have this curiosity with it that you just feel like it would be super fun to play with, I mean, it's the cost of not that many grading mistakes. I'll put it that way. So let me think about it. The cost of grading, at $25, $35, $45 a coin, depending on what you're sending and what the tier is and all that stuff, it's a lot of money. It adds up quick. So, this is in your house. If you pay for the subscription, it's kind of an all, you do as much as you want to. So anyway, that's my take on it. I, again, want to thank Mr. Colonna for coming on and doing the interview with me. I really enjoyed it. I actually, as I said, I might not necessarily buy it myself, but I'm going to be following what's going on with this. I want to hear from people if you do get one of these and see what's going on with it. And hopefully somebody in my area or somebody I know has one at some point so I can play around with it if I don't get one myself, because I want to see how it works, and I have this really thorough curiosity of how this thing's actually going to work, and I'm super excited to see it go through. So I really hope this does work. I'm hoping that it not only works well, but that it provides the service it says it's going to do. I'm hoping that the crowdfunding goes through so it happens quickly, so we can see it happen. And I genuinely wish both the creator, Mr. Colonna, as well as anybody who buys this, the absolute best in this product. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. If you want to see more videos like this where I review stuff like this occasionally, this is new and rare, but if you want to see it, make sure to hit subscribe and notifications buttons below so you'll be notified when I post new content. Also, if you want to see a really cool video about coin grading, check this one out right here. It's actually one of my most popular, and it's a good introduction to it.